So we're just getting our presenters here set up and ready to go. So I'm showing 11 o'clock Eastern on my clock. I see that we have Janelle, Matthew Hahn, Dan Nichols, Jason Toki as our presenters today. Welcome, everyone. As we start out, I want to give a quick introduction, give an idea about what these office hours are intended to do, and then go ahead and go over some procedures for how we'll proceed with our session today. Looks like my camera is not working, unfortunately. So I'll have to try to resolve that before our next call, but we're just letting in the rest of our program managers. We do for today's session, we will have several program managers and several national technical directors available to answer questions. So we will go around the horn here before we get started to make those introductions. And before we start, I'll say a few words. So this session is going to be recorded, and if you do not consent to being recorded, please do drop off this Teams call and direct your questions by email. This will be recorded and then posted publicly so that other individuals can see the question and answer session that takes place. We'd like to welcome everybody and thank you all for attending this office hour opportunity for the 2023 CINR funding opportunity. This is an important event for us to clarify or answer any questions about the scopes now that they have been officially released through the funding opportunity. And so we would welcome today any questions to make some clarifications. We do have quite a few program managers and individuals here who can answer those questions for you. This is an opportunity for the Office of Nuclear Energy to allow the university community to interact with federal program contacts and technical points of contact. There's really three main objectives here. The first is to help you all better understand ongoing DOE programmatic activities, to receive clarifications about the NE mission and the relevant topic areas that we'll be discussing today, and overall to continue to build better communication between the university community and the DOE programs. And so we hope you'll find this valuable. To that extent, we'd like to ask you to keep your comments and questions limited to those objectives. For clarity, if you haven't had a chance to read through the FOA yet, relevancy will be evaluated differently this year than in years past, with less emphasis on program priority, DOE program priority, and more emphasis on relevance to the NE mission space. That means that as you think about your questions, it's likely less important to understand how well your own concept fits into the DOE program, for example, and more important to understand the context around the DOE programs and where you might be able to build synergies or might be able to to propose something that would be impactful across the board. I will remind everybody that all topic areas have an other category, and with this in mind, we are accepting any Office of Nuclear Energy mission relevant ideas, whether they're through the specific subtopic areas that have been described during the webinar or through that other category. When we take questions, please go ahead and raise your hand using that function in Teams. You can do that using the reactions icon that's up in your top center area and clicking the raise hand button. That will indicate that you'd like to ask a question, then I can call on you. We'll give everybody an opportunity to ask questions. So we do have a 60-minute session here. So please be aware of of the time and allow others to ask questions as well. We do encourage you to ask a question, any follow-up questions as necessary, but we'll try to move on to make sure that we make time for enough all the individuals to be able to interact here. With that, We'll open up the conversation here for the reactor development and optimization category, what we're calling the RDO category, which is topic area 1. We have several program managers here that I will introduce quickly. And then we also have, like I said, some national technical directors from the labs that are here in a support role to be able to answer some questions as well. So hoping that as we ask questions and other things, you can see their faces and hear their names as well. With that, we have Janelle Edens, DOE Program Manager for Reactor Optimization. We have Jason Toki, Jason Marcinkowski, and Dan Nichols here to answer questions as our DOE program managers. So with that, Janelle, I don't know if you have any opening words as kind of the lead for this area, and then we'll open this up for questions.
Sure, Drew, I can quickly say some words. So on behalf of NE, I just want to thank the university community for their interest in supporting reactor development and optimization. In the US, we have set some very ambitious climate change goals of achieving 100% clean electricity generation by 2035. And we clearly recognize that we need both the existing fleet as well as advanced reactors to help us to achieve that goal. And the subtopics within topic area 1 will help us to achieve those goals. And like Drew said, we're doing things a little bit differently this year. So we encourage applicants to think broadly and to think expansively. And we do hope that this new structure will help to spark some innovative ideas. And with that, I think we can start taking questions.
All right. Thank you, Janelle, for opening with that. I did see a hand earlier, Zayun Wu. Oh, maybe he dropped off here. Oh, go ahead, Zayun.
Yeah, that's not intentional. Sorry about that.
I'm glad I caught you then. Go ahead, kick us off. Oh, it's not intentional. Oh, to raise the hand. Okay, we'll open up for questions then. Like I said, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Boris Kekovich, go ahead.
Hello, thanks for this opportunity. The question is about RDO 5, and we're interested in applying it to materials, especially to graphite. Is that so? In the context of especially high temperature gas reactors, is that of interest? Materials.
So RDO 5 focuses on the implementation of artificial intelligence, machine learning. I guess I would ask a little bit more clarification on your question. Oh, by the way, I should introduce myself. My name is Daniel Nichols. I'm the artificial intelligence machine learning point of contact for the Office of Nuclear Energy. So with your question, are you looking at using AI or machine learning strategies to optimize graphite design or qualification? Can you expand on that a little bit more?
That's well, you just put it exactly what we're planning to do.
Okay. There may be another, I'm trying to scan through the other topic areas. There may be a topic area that is more focused on graphite, but if there is not, then RDO 5 would be the category to apply to if it's relating to artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Well, it's using heavily the techniques. We're probably going to develop techniques for that, but we will heavily use the techniques. So that would be a way to train students. It would be a way to apply the techniques to a new area, and it would generate enhanced databases for MOOC-like applications. So there are connections with other programs, but the question is whether heavy material focus would be of interest here.
Okay. It would be of interest. It would potentially fall under another so it sounds like you're saying it could support code validation. You mentioned Moose. So it could potentially fall under a modeling and simulation topic. RDO 5 kind of is meant to be more of a broad and open scope for any AI, ML related topics that applicants are proposing that don't fit under another specific category. And so we wanted to make sure that we didn't limit those who are applying to the NEUP scopes, that they would be basically excluded because of their topic ideas. So I would encourage you to review, I think M&S 3 might be applicable, but yeah, RDO 5, because of the artificial intelligence and machine learning nature, might also be the right avenue. So,
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, thanks for that, Dan. Well, like I said, for those who have just joined, please use the raise your hand function. I do see that we have some folks on the telephone, and we will open up for questions for those on the telephone as well here if we don't have any hands raised. So we'll continue taking questions here on any of the RDO 1 through 5 topics. Syed, go ahead.
Just a sec, I'm just hello, I have a question about RDO 5.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so actually, we are actually planning to propose with our industry partner and university partner and some of the international collaborators, mostly to be aligned with the call, because as you just said in your last conversation, that it's pretty open. And the way the call is written, it's mostly written that, okay, optimization for different purposes, and some of the ideas about non-nominal conditions, hazardous condition, and those. So will it be of interest if we actually leverage or develop, because it's AI ML technology. So we develop AI ML based different segments of digital twin technology where we can actually integrate physics informed neural network with neural operator while doing the validation part of that, and actually check whether the structural, because nuclear structure and all other, since the reactors are going actually above, like plants are going above 60+ years. So considering the non-nominal condition, hazardous condition, checking the structural health or asset monitoring is one of the aspects. And this is one of the aspects also DOE, LW or sustainability program was looking for. That's what our team has investigated. So my question is, so digital twin comprising AI ML technology to understand structural or material properties of interest will be falling under this call clearly?
Potentially, that seems to intersect with a couple of different scope topics. So what I was hearing was artificial intelligence, machine learning, coupled with digital twin for monitoring structural materials. So another kind of characteristic of RDO 5 is that it's supposed to cover cross-cutting developments that really don't fit under one specific category, but kind of target a lot. So it sounds like, based on what you described, that may be potentially the RDO 5 may be potentially the best place to apply for. But again, like with every applicant, I would encourage to review the other scope topics to make sure that in your opinion that is the best place to position it. But due to the cross-cutting nature of what you described, that it appears that it aligns with RDO 5's intentions. So
thanks, Daniel.
Welcome.
Yep. And I will mention, in addition to what Dan said, the intention here is for you all to make a decision about where the best fit is for your application based on how you read the scopes. There will be an opportunity once program managers have these in hand to make recommendations about potentially moving them. That would be with the permission of the lead principal investigator to be able to do that. But I wouldn't, make your best guess here. And if for some reason that guess, there's a place where it could potentially compete better, that recommendation could be made by a program manager, but you would be in contact and that would be a conversation where you would consent to have it moved to a different area. So just as a point of a process, I want to make sure that you don't need to stress too much about how it's going to be viewed once it comes in internally. That discussion happens as all the applications come in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Syed. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Jamie, your hand is up next. Go ahead.
Hey, I maybe have two questions, if that's okay. My first question is for RDO, all of the topic areas really, is there an expectation that we would team up with a utility or a reactor vendor, a reactor design company or something to try to show kind of near-term application, or can these topics be a little bit further out where maybe it's not immediately applicable?
Hi, this is Jason. For RDO 3, I think there would be a benefit to teaming with industry. Yeah, there's not a hard requirement, but it's I think having that partnership is beneficial for making sure that you can get really high quality information on the industrial plant you're looking at.
Great.
And just to add to that, just in general, there's not a requirement that you team with the university or an industry. But like you mentioned, there are some benefits in terms of near-term deployment. But that is not a requirement for the scopes.
Great. And then my other question was about the NEST program. So the paragraph that describes NEST, I think is just not very clear to me, and I apologize if it was explained in a previous webinar. But can anybody talk about NEST and what the opportunity really is with NEST? Is this like additional funds on top of the up to $1 million proposal budget, or is this part of that $1 million? Like what is, or how do we use the NEST program?
Yeah. So Janelle, would you like me to take this one? I know that you've described it in the past as well. I'd be happy to, though.
Sure. Go ahead, Drew.
Okay. So the opportunity with NEST is post-award. So to answer your question, Jamie, this is not included in the up to $1 million budget. It would not be part of the evaluation of the application. You can think of it as a tag-on opportunity after the projects are awarded to engage with NEST for added student engagement, right? So there are additional resources and funds through NEST to create those partnerships on awarded projects in the areas where that NEST language has been added in the funding opportunity.
Great. And so in the application to this program, we would indicate if we would be interested in participating in that, but we don't need to have any more information. Is that correct?
That's correct. And like
Okay.
I said, it is not part of the evaluation criteria. So whether you choose to or choose not to include that language will not have an effect on the evaluation.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. All right, we'll move. I see that we do have some phone callers, so I do want to move to any questions that we might have from our phone crowd, since we don't have the ability to have you raise your hand. So I'll open the time up there, and then we'll take any raised hands after that.
Hi, thank you. This is Guha Manogaran from Penn State. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. Yep, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Hey, I was just curious about RDO1 in particular, and what are the thoughts on how much emphasis on the material structure that we start with, and to avoid overlap with how the material was made? In other words, can you help us distinguish between RDO1 and NM2 or NM3? Like, for example, if you're primarily interested in the material response as for particular reactor application domain and particular conditions, how do we make sure that it doesn't overlap with the manufacturing method? So I would like to get some thoughts on delineating RDO1 with NM2 or NM3. Thanks, Drew.
Yep, thank you, Janelle.
Right. So for RDO1, we are interested in activities that would help to reduce the technical risks for advanced reactors. So there could potentially be some material-related topics that could reduce the risk for advanced reactors, but you would have to clearly describe how your proposed activities would help to reduce the risk for those reactors. But if you're looking more so at material-focused activities such as advanced manufacturing, like you mentioned, then that might fit better within the materials related scope. So it really just depends on whether you can show a strong tie to reducing the technical risk for advanced reactors, which is the emphasis of RDO1.
Got it. Thank you. And just as a follow-up, so where would, for example, the creep and fatigue performance of materials that has a high risk in application, would that fall? Would you recommend it would fall more under NM versus RDO?
So I guess I could potentially see that falling under either one. It depends on how strong of a tie you can show to reducing those risks. I'm not as familiar with the materials related scopes, but as long as you can show a tie to how that will help accelerate advanced reactor development, then it would be applicable.
Got it. Thank you, Jenna.
Okay, any other questions from phone callers? Okay, we'll continue taking questions in our regular method then with a raised hand. As a point of information, as we get further along in this session and as questions are asked, if we do get to a point where we don't have any questions for, 4 or 5 minutes and we have kind of radio silence here, we will end the session at that point. So I do want to give everybody the opportunity to ask whatever questions they might have. So I'll give a last call for questions if we're slowing down to a point where we're not getting additional questions. So with that, Majid, go ahead. Or Majdi, sorry, I'm terrible with names. So
thanks. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I got a question on RDO4. Remote deployment, dedicated power supplies, including siting. Actually, 2 questions, but I will make them quick. So first one, the proud of the scope of this call is a bit broad, like focusing on environmental justice, for example, on siting, techno-economic analysis. So if we propose like kind of a methodology that integrates 1 or 2 of the scopes described here, is this still welcomed, or do you want to focus on just 1 of those multiple scopes provided here? So that's the first question.
So the ideas that we propose were just meant to, spark some innovative ideas and to give you an idea of what we're looking for. But it's really up to you what you decide to focus on. So if you want to look at 1, or you want to look at 2 or multiple, if you want to look at something that's not on that list, as long as you can, show a tie to remote deployment of advanced reactors, then that would be responsive as well.
Okay, thank you, Janelle. So second question, as part of the of the proposal if we found that data analytics tools or methods like, for example, machine learning optimization algorithms would help to support the proposal. Are they still can still be the part of the proposal, or people would feel that those will fall under RDO 5? Again, it's not going to be the central point of the proposal. There will be supporting tools.
So if it's not the central point and it's just supporting, and the main focus of the proposal is remote deployment, then I would say that it would fit better under RDO 4. And we would not exclude it because it also included MA artificial intelligence items.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks a lot, Janelle. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. We'll continue taking questions.
Hi, Drew. This is Anna. As we wait for more questions to come in, can we take a moment just to remind everyone that if there are additional questions after this office hours opportunities, that those should be submitted to neup@inl.gov?
Yeah, thank you for that reminder, Anna. In addition, this question has come up quite a bit since we released our draft scope, so I'll mention this as well. These, you'll notice that for example, the RDO 6 or the other areas for each of these do not have a federal point of contact on them. That is intentional. What we would like applicants to do is, if you do have questions about things that don't necessarily fit in the subtopic areas, but may fit within any mission, to submit those as well to neup@inl.gov. Our staff will work with DOE program management to find the best individual to answer your question, since there's a potential that those other topics could vary quite a bit. We want to make sure that we get the correct individual to look at that and to provide any commentary or guidance. Right, as we wait for additional questions, don't necessarily want to put any program managers on the spot, but do want to give an opportunity, Janelle, Jason Marcinkowski, and Jason Toki, Dan, if there are additional information that maybe wasn't necessarily shared during the webinars. If you have any additional information you'd like to share about program resources or where folks can learn a little bit more about ongoing program activities. I did see a hand flash up here. Feel free to raise your hand and we'll get to you.
Drew, I don't have anything besides the obvious searches. For the integrated, there's a website on the INL website for integrated energy systems. You can easily search and find that. And of course, our DOE website for nuclear energy.
Okay, thanks, Jason. John Jackson, go ahead.
Yeah, just with reference to your comment about additional resources in terms of understanding what sort of programmatic activities are going on, I can say for the microreactor program, we do have a website. It's on the GAIN website, gain.inl.gov, under the resources tab, and in it, among other things, you will find our program plan, as well as our most recent program review from March of this year, which may be helpful for people to understand what's going on in the microreactor program.
Thanks for that, John. And John, if you wouldn't mind putting that in the chat for everyone, that would be fantastic.
Sure. May take me a second, but
No worries. All right.
And to add to what John said, on the GAIN website, they do have separate areas for each of the reactor technologies. So that would be a good place to go to get additional information on the reactor technologies, on the advanced reactor technologies.
All right. Thanks for that, Janelle. Zayun, go ahead. You have your hand raised.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to take this opportunity to ask, for the RDO scope, because we noticed there is a grand challenge for the IRP scope, right? Integrated research IRP program. So that one is also saying accelerating deployment of advanced reactors. So I just want to ask, what so far you guys see, what really want to distinguish between the RDO, those small scopes, to the IRP for this year's call? Did you get my question clear?
I think we did, and we don't have Brian Robinson, who's the point of contact for our IRP area here on this call. But Janelle, do you want to take a stab at that? And then maybe we can loop back Zayun with that question on our IRP session next week.
Sure. I think in general, IRPs are meant to be more expansive. So we would expect to see more extensive teaming between, national labs, industry, and different universities. We also get more funding with an IRP, so you can look at more activities and more items related to advanced reactor deployment and acceleration. So it all depends on whether you're looking for a smaller scope, in which case the RDO would be more applicable, or you're looking to do something more expansive with a more extensive team, then the IRP would be the better option.
Zayun, any follow-up questions there?
So any specific reactor being focused on either of them?
No, we're looking for really any nuclear reactor. So any of the advanced reactors, microreactors, molten salt reactors, fast reactors, high temperature gas reactors would be applicable. We're also looking to support the current fleet. So the large light water reactors would be applicable, as well as the light water SMRs. So we're not focused on any one reactor concept.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Zayun. We'll continue taking questions here.
Drew, if nobody has raised hands, can I have one more question, please? This is
yes, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks to all the program managers for giving your thoughts, particularly with RDO1. We went through the slides from the webinar. As far as the materials goes, is the call agnostic to the ones other than the ones that are listed in the slides when it comes to the reactor component and the type of reactor we're looking into? We talked about the different types of reactors. Can you comment on the material systems as well, please? Thanks.
Sorry, I missed the last part of your question.
So
can you repeat that, just the last part?
Sure. Particularly for RDO1, is there any particular materials? We talked about reducing technical risk, but is there any particular material systems that is of interest? Any particular alloy or any particular sets of alloys?
So no, we're not requesting any specific alloy. We're leaving it up to you to propose what you think would be most applicable, but you do need to show a tie to how your activities will help to reduce technical risk for a reactor concept. So you would need to tie whatever material you propose to supporting at least one of the advanced reactor concepts. But we don't have any specific alloy that we're requiring that you address.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
And I will just point out, I don't think Sue's on this call, and Drew, maybe you can help with with when that QA session is, but there is a specific NM2 specifically for advanced reactor core and structural materials that, you know, depending on what your specific topic is, may also be a place to consider submitting.
Thanks, Jason, for that. That is at 1 o'clock Eastern today, so just here in about 2 hours or so. So that would be another opportunity to talk about material systems. I will also point out, Janelle made a good point here that kind of triggered a thought in my brain that, you know, with this shift and openness for these topics and this call, it really does shift the burden to all of you to make a compelling case for the technology or the approach or the system that you are proposing to use. So rather than DOE telling all of you which systems of interest, we're kind of turning that on its head, and with that information, it's important that all of you make a compelling argument in your pre-applications and in your full applications for why such a system would be important, or would, as Janelle said, would reduce technical risk. So we'll continue taking questions here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Subhash. Just one quick clarification. I think this doubt came from when you were answering the question of Jiang Wu, that this particular advanced reactor RDO is just for advanced reactor, right? Does SMR all they qualify for that? I mean, water waste reactor, water cooled reactor.
So yeah, so
No, right?
RDO1 is specific to advanced reactors. So it would cover both the light water SMRs as well as the non-light water reactor concepts.
Okay.
But there are also scopes within RDO that apply to the current fleet. Maybe not RDO1, but some of the others do.
Correct. Yeah, RDO2 specifically does include the current fleet of large light water reactors as well.
Thank you for clarification. Thank you.
Great discussion so far. We'll continue to take questions here until everything quiets down.
Drew, one last question. The officers, the NM work scope, is it 1 p.m. Mountain Time?
The material scope is 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So
Eastern Time, got it.
And I'm checking my calendar to make sure that I got that right. Yep, it's 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Mountain, or 11 a.m. Mountain. Sorry.
Copy that. Thanks.
Thank you. The awkward silence here is intentional. I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to think. I'll go ahead and make a call here now that we've had a significant pause for a final call for questions. So if you do have a final call, we'll stay here for a few more minutes. Please go ahead and raise your hand, or if you're on the phone, go ahead and speak up. All right, I'm going to do one final call here. I will remind everybody what Anna said earlier. After this session, if you do have questions about RDO categories, please do send those questions to neup@inl.gov. neup.gov also has a variety of different resources from our FY 2023 CINR webinar. That includes video presentations, PowerPoint presentations, and such for you to be able to prepare your applications. Our NSUF letter of intent due date is today, and our pre-application due date is coming up soon on October 11th. So please try to make those engagements and those emails as soon as possible so we can get you good information in time for you to adequately prep out your pre-applications. So Anna has added the announcement for the FOA into the chat. Thank you, Anna. That will give you the direct link to all of those resources. With that, I'd like to thank Janelle, Jason Toki, Jason Marcinkowski, Dan Nichols, as well as our national technical points of contact from the laboratories for being here to answer questions. I hope this session was useful. And please, as always, if you have any feedback or any questions about this session or otherwise, please do reach out and we'd be happy to engage. So with that, we'll call this session complete, and we will reconvene in about 20 minutes here for our next office hour session. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Drew.
Take care and good luck, everyone.
Thank you, Drew.